Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
The election is over. Absolutely over. Pat yourselves on the back for a great voter turnout. Thank you. Thank you very much. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Call in. Let's do it the right way this morning. Good morning. And a good morning to you. Bear with me, got a little cold and a cough I've had for a week. Just can't seem to shake that. I know a lot of people are going through that, a lot worse than I am. And I wish you the best. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell. And, of course, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance after Election Day. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wheels, thank you very much. And by the way, good job yesterday. We had a lot of calls. Boy, did we have the calls yesterday. I mean, in a span of 35 minutes, we had over 43 phone calls. That's really a tribute to our audience. That's amazing, sir.
I was really hoping you'd get to the 50. I was really going for that.
I ran out of time. A
few more minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, that was great.
All right. Thank you very much, Wheels. Appreciate it. Weather forecast brought to you right now by K&R Rental. 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. Absolutely, with the best of tools and equipment to finish any kind of a project. You get a hold of them today. Stop over or give them a call at 678-3122. K&R Rental. They've got it all, and they're waiting for you to stop in for the projects that you need to finish, whether it's tilling your gardens or log splitters, anything. I mean, they've got it at K&R Rental. Here's Gina with the weather.
The winds are finally dying down. The sun is going to shine, but we are going to be chilly. Here's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. Expecting sunny skies for the day. Winds are actually dying down out of the south, right around 8 miles an hour. We're expecting a high of 45. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, slightly breezy, low of 24. Tomorrow, sunny skies, expecting a high of 42 with a light breeze. By Thursday evening, clear skies and a low of 19. By Friday, sunny skies, high of 46. Partly cloudy for Friday night with a low of 27. By Saturday, mostly sunny and 47. And for Veterans Day Sunday, sunshine and 43. That's a look at your weather forecast on Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina. Appreciate it. Brought to you by K&R Rental. Our weather forecast to kick things off this morning at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Roger and the crew get there early in the morning at 7 a.m. right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. The number to call, 678-3122. Calls are welcome and appreciated today, and I stayed up as long as my eyelids would stay open last night watching all the national returns and the Idaho issues, etc. We're going to go through those this morning, but really I'd like to hear what your comments are about the election. There's a couple of things I'd like to start with this morning, especially here in the state of Idaho. Now, yesterday on my program, And I'm not proud of me, I'm proud of you. When I say this, I asked, we were, with all the commercials and everything we had to run yesterday, we had roughly about 36 minutes of airtime devoted for calls. And I said, would you please call me and let me know your thoughts on the voting for the governor? And in that span of time, roughly 37 minutes, we had over 43 calls come in, and that shows me that I've got the best, underline that, audience anywhere in radio. Boy, your response was phenomenal, and you were spot on. I mean, you were spot on about Brad Little winning the governorship and soundly defeating the Democrat, Paulette Jordan. And, you know, I appreciate her running. I do. But I think her stands on various issues and the way she promoted herself in her campaign left a lot to be desired. And congratulations to Brad Little. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning. Go ahead.
Zeb, how you doing?
I'm good, sir. What are your thoughts?
Well, I got a little different take on this. I was voting yesterday, and I was in the voting booth, and one opposite over to me, there was a gentleman there, a non-English speaking gentleman. He had an interpreter, and they would talk and laugh and carry on. And I'm wondering what is a possibility. You could check to see what the law is on this, because I understood. I don't know. I thought the English thing was, you know, an important thing, but it kind of perturbed me because I'm trying to concentrate, and they're over there speaking Spanish and laughing. So, you know, I just want to get your take on that.
Well, I'll give you my take, and I'm going to be very blunt about it. I think at that case in point, there should have been a removal of those two people from the voting chamber. You know, if anything is annoying to me, it's whether it's a library or a voting balloting position place, a polling place, is to have people that are loud and abrasive and joking and laughing. That is not the place. And quite frankly, I've said before on this program, I'd wish security would walk over and just say, shut up, vote, and leave. I don't like all the social amenities of giggling and everything else. I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's frustrating to me.
My main question too, was this person voting legal?
Yeah, see, there is the point that you and I can't seem to check on because we're stymied and stopped in trying to find out that information. I would hope so. And when I say that, I underline the word hope because I'm not sure about the percentage of votes that were illegal and obtained illegally because I still think that's a major problem. And I'm going to go one step further. I think it's a major problem in that Senate race that's going on down in Arizona right now.
Well, now another question is that person interpreting this person telling them who to vote for? See what I mean?
I do, and I'm not gonna arbitrate with you. I'm on your side. I'm wearing your team's uniform and jersey because I absolutely agree. I think it's an unfair advantage for someone to go to the polls like that and use an interpreter that could be swaying the election and or that particular vote. I'm not in favor of it. I don't care who in the heck I offend by saying that. I go to the polls. I study the issues. I study the people. I don't need a bunch of abrasive talk from an interpreter to another person while I'm trying to vote. I think that's absolutely rude and uncalled for. How can I better state my case?
Exactly my sentiment, and hey, keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I know exactly what that man is talking about, and I find it to be so absolutely ridiculous and annoying to have people that are giggling, laughing, and everything else. I don't care if it's the polling workers or the voters going in. I go in, I say very little. If they ask me for my ID, which they do, I hand it to them. I might say, how are you today, etc. Go vote and get out. But as far as all the talk and the laughing and the giggling and the interpreters, it's very, very annoying, and I couldn't agree with him more. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me your thoughts, please. Maybe you think I'm all wet. Maybe you think it's a social party. I don't. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They're open 7:30 in the morning till 5 Monday through Friday. And it's true, they do have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. Absolutely, underline that word all. They've been in business over 6 decades. They know how to get the job done. They've got the right people to help and serve you. And they're there 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Number to call, 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley, serving you. Want to also remind you about our Denny's restaurants. And by the way, our lunch bunch for this month of November, I had to lean back for a minute and look at my calendar. We are going to have a lunch bunch on November 29th. Remember that. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. And the other location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls, America's Diner, with the best of breakfast and lunch and dinner and desserts and friendly people, smiling people serving you always at Denny's Restaurant. Yeah, it's true. The home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. Caller, I appreciate your calling because that's one less little moment I have to talk on the air because of a sore throat and a cough. But you go ahead, sir. Thank you, or lady. You're on the air.
Hi, it's me.
Hi, Chris.
I think that that is kind of dangerous. Somebody coming in there, speaking a foreign language, laughing, not being quite Americanized yet. How do we know for sure that that person really has the right to vote?
I can't give you an honest answer on that. I don't know, and you don't know. Nobody knows. I'm very concerned that there is a percentage of falsification, and I think you know what I'm talking about. I don't like the fact that, like this gentleman said a moment ago, that he and an interpreter were laughing and giggling and basically being kind of a obnoxious resource standing there while he was trying to vote and others were trying to vote. I don't like that. I think that when you go into a polling place, it is a time to shut up and do your job and leave. It's not a visitation period with your neighbors. It's not something that you want to stand around and giggle about, oh, I bought a new car, or the dog had puppies, or whatever. That's not the place. Go outside, but not in the polling place.
No, it's not a social gathering. And truthfully, if the person who was in charge of that polling place didn't kick him out, I think that they should have been kicked out, because a polling place needs to be as quiet as it can be, needs to be honored for not distracting people. And I was the chief judge for our area for about 15 years. And we had a lot of fun when there was nobody in there voting. But when somebody came, it was quiet, don't disturb, and just be polite. And I never had any problem.
Well, see, and right there, the key words that you mentioned, be polite, but not be excessively friendly and joking and talking about some new coat that you bought at the store on sale or whatever the case might be. That's not the time and the place. And for this gentleman that called and said he was annoyed because of the distraction, when you're in there voting and reading the propositions or whatever's on the ballot, people ought to have the courtesy to shut up.
Well, I think that somebody should pay a visit at that person's home and say that when they are going to vote, and they have the right to vote, if they have it, they can do it. But the precinct place is no place to catch up on all your grandkids.
Well stated, Chris. God bless you this morning. I've got another call. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you. Caller, I'll be right there. I got to tell everybody about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Yes, I went in there yesterday again for another treatment. Yes, they are the best and the most caring. Yes, they know all the exercises. Yes, they've got the only hydrotherapy pool of its kind in this entire area. Yes, they can help you get back to being you. Absolutely. The number to call for an appointment, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. I urge you to work with these folks to let them help you get back to being you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Don't forget, on Tuesdays, we have the Stotz Ag Minutes with Stotz Equipment, and, of course, they are your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland in Burley. That's on Tuesdays at 9:46. Wonderful people, and believe me, they can make your life a lot easier, and that's Stotz Equipment Company with the Ag Minutes. Thank you so much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Wheels, turn them up.
Well, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
You know, unfortunately, I missed your show yesterday because I took one of my relatives to Boise for a doctor's appointment. But sounds like you had a lot of fun.
No, I wouldn't say we had a lot of fun. Let's keep it on what it was. It was informative. We had a lot of people that contributed to the program, and it was a program that needed to happen as far as that survey is concerned, because I think that survey, spontaneous as it was, with 42 callers calling in for support of Brad Little and one for Paulette Jordan. That was indicative of how that race was going to go all day long.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to listen to the radio much, and so I was kind of in the dark most of the day because I didn't know what was going on. But, you know, this one race, is it New Jersey or where is this Cortez from?
New York, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez became the youngest woman ever elected to Congress at 29 years of age, and she is a devout socialist, and it scares me having her be a part of politics, and others also scare me from some of the elections yesterday.
Well, I never heard her name mentioned one time on TV. I got home about 6 yesterday, and I'm kind of a junkie when it comes to what's going on like that, and I never did hear her name mentioned one time.
Oh, yeah, it was mentioned on numerous occasions at various broadcasts throughout the evening, and there was no secretive nature about it. I mean, they highlighted as many people as they could. They talked about Ron DeSantis coming back in a real nail-biter against Andrew Gillum, and I was tickled. I mean, I was elated. I did an Irish jig in a pair of Tony Lamas last night on the living room when DeSantis beat, of course, Andrew Gillum, the socialist that wants to have open borders and everything else. I was happy about that.
I was too, and this deal in Arizona, that's still up in the air, and Tester in Montana.
Yeah.
We don't know where those people are at.
Well, it's not the only race that's up for grabs right now. The race in Arizona is very, very close. The race in Montana is very, very close. They don't have any final results. The race in Georgia between of course, socialist and open borders candidate Stacey Abrams versus Kemp, that's too close to call right now. So there's a lot of things that are remaining unsettled as we speak this morning, Keith.
You know, and your good friend from Indiana, I'll bet he is elated today because his candidate won.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to him about that in about a little less than an hour. So, Keith, I appreciate it.
I want to be sure to get that.
What's that, sir?
I want to be sure and tune in for that because I really think a lot of that man, and he's a straight-up guy and tells it like it is, but he has the most calming attitude about things. And he's really interesting to listen to. I'm glad you have him on the air.
All right, Dave. Dave, I was going to call you Dave Bigo. Keith, thank you for your call. I got to run. Thank you so much. All right, sir.
As good as Dave.
All right, thank you. Don't forget Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. The number to call, 678-1177. Now, they have been voted Minnecastia's best veterinary hospital multiple times. Dr. Bill, Dr. Jordan, the whole crew, they really care whether, it's a little puppy dog or a kitty cat or a great big herd of cattle or whether your horse, whatever needs attention and care, and they can help, they will help. Please get a hold of them today. Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Heyburn. And it's true, they do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. 678-1177. Also want to remind you that at Ramsey Heating and Electric, along with Lennox, they can help keep you comfortable. And Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases. Just give them a call at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric, over 6 decades of serving you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, yeah. Even though I didn't have the same problem at the polling place that one guy did with the people that were chatty and all that, I think that a polling place ought to be treated like as if it was sacred, because what we're doing is extremely important, and people need to treat it with respect.
Well, it's a place, Rodney, I think you're right. It's a place where maybe people want to really read and study whether they're voting a yes or a no or whatever, or perhaps they're going to put a write-in candidate in a certain position, whatever. And for people to be chit-chatting and, hey, Bert, how's that new dog you got? Is it a good hunting dog? I mean, that kind of stuff should not be allowed within the polling chamber itself. They should get the heck out of Dodge City and talk outside.
Exactly, just like I do. When I go to vote, and I think I've set a good example, when I go to vote, about the only talking I do is I state my name and address, and they tell me to state my name and address. I pick up my ballot, go vote, deposit my ballot, get out.
Yeah. And quite frankly, my wife and I are the same way. We go in, and sure, you're going to have a little amenities of conversation as far as saying, hi, how are you today? Then they ask you for identification. You hand it to them. You go along the line. They hand you a ballot, and they say, please put your ballot back in there, and then go over to the box and put it in there after you're finished, and then leave. There's no chance to really spend time or waste time talking to people when you're there to vote.
Exactly.
Thank you for your call this morning.
Everyone would understand that.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your call this morning. Thanks.
All right.
I'm going to give away... Do I have another call waiting, by the way, Wheels? I forgot.
Yeah, Linda had just called in for a quick minute.
Okay, Linda, I've got just about a minute, and then I got to give away some cookies. Go ahead, please.
I noticed that it was a little bit noisier in my polling place yesterday early in the morning, and apparently they got themselves all settled down, and it worked out. I like the fact that I have access to the vote. They call it the express machine that reads it to you and then marks it for you after you tell it what to mark, so that I don't have to have someone reading my vote to me. And I've had to do that before, too, because I can ask for a reader if I can't read the ballot.
Right.
But I do like that voting machine. I can see a new citizen who is learning English being more comfortable with an interpreter to read the ballot. Hopefully they will learn enough English to do their own balloting eventually. But I agree, it should be a business-like way of presenting it, and that should be the main thing and the only thing that's done, and it shouldn't be done any louder than it needs to be done.
Well, Linda, right there, you've summed up the crux of the problem. I mean, if people are talking in subdued tones, and there are cases where they may need the interpreter or they may need assistance, whatever the case might be, but do it in subdued tones and not be annoying to the other people that are trying to vote and study the issues. And I agree with the gentleman. If they're standing there and laughing and carrying on, they're nothing but an annoyance, and quite frankly, I think they should have been asked to leave.
Way beyond the limits, yeah, it is.
Thank you for your call.
You're welcome.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. I didn't do this Monday. I didn't do it yesterday because we were swamped up to the gills, as a matter of fact. But right now I'm going to give away some cookies. Everybody, I had more calls. When are we going to get our cookies this week? Well, here we go. Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, my goodness. What a restaurant. What a bakery with all the pies and the cookies and the different desserts and the wedding cakes. Oh, they do it all at Sophie's Chatterbox in Rupert. Now, here is the question, and if you get the right answer, you're going to win a dozen cookies, and all you have to do is call Sophie's and tell them when you'll be there to pick up your cookies. What was the name of the newspaper that Superman, alias Clark Kent, worked for on that TV series? What was the name of the newspaper that Superman, alias Clark Kent, worked for? What was the name of that newspaper? And give us a call, please, if you would, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
It's the Daily Planet.
What is your name?
I'm Brent Nicholas.
Brent Nicholas, well, I'll tell you what, you are the winner. I don't know what kind of cookies you like, but you called Sophie's because that's right, it was the Daily Planet, and a lot of people might have forgot about that, but you're spot on. Thank you for your call this morning.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Brett Nicholas, the Daily Planet. Remember that with Jimmy and Lois Lane and all the rest of them? Yep, that's what it was, the Daily Planet. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There were some squeakers. And one that really bothered me, the way it was going, was that Beto O'Rourke in Texas, I thought for a long time yesterday, was going to beat Ted Cruz for the Senate seat. Oh, it was a nail-biter. And Ted Cruz eventually won, and Beto O'Rourke, who had just tons of money for his election campaign, most of which came from out of the state of Texas and was funded to him by Hollywood. And there were a lot of concerns about him. He was such a far, far left-wing socialist that he would end up beating Ted Cruz. He did not. And I also heard, and I'm doing some checking on this story, that on a live broadcast last night, after losing to Ted Cruz, he showed his no class and dropped the F-bomb on live TV last night. That is Beto O'Rourke. So I'm going to do some more checking on that to verify that story. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. Well, you can see if you spend enough money, tell enough lies, and with the millennials voting that have been at all levels of education, been told that socialism is the way of the future, and the college voters, you know, in the Trump election were voting for Bernie Sanders type socialism, which, of course, means redistributing the wealth and so forth. But our education system is really showing the fruits of socialism with these elections, and I think it's amazing that as many Republicans have survived the onslaught of the George Soros money, all of the money that was poured in. Some of these congressional races were millions of dollars, and the Republicans were outspent 3 and 4 times to 1. And so you tell enough lies on the commercials long enough, and the other problem is 52% of the public, of course, Zeb, gets a government check. And so you got all these people on welfare. They're just voting for their next welfare check.
All right, let me jump in. Adrian, let me jump in a little bit. Even though there were some tight races yesterday, and I think you're going to concur with this, and Ted Cruz squeaks out a victory over Beto O'Rourke, and Ron DeSantis defeated socialist Andrew Gillum, a lot of people that I heard on the news last night saying, oh, well, that's good, and maybe they'll go away. Some of the commentation was about, oh, maybe they won't. No, I look at this as a real problem for the future. I look at the Andrew Gillums. I look at the rest of these, like Beto O'Rourke and others. They used that election last night as a stepping stone for the future to garner more money to promote their socialistic values in 2020. Mark my words, they're not going to go away.
Oh, absolutely. Man, look at this radical cinema down here in Arizona. That is unbelievable.
That is unbelievable, and I agree with you. How in the world did her viewpoints and her attitude and some of her comments ever get by the voting electorate? They should have thrown her out the door, but yet it's a race too close to call this morning.
It is a really unbelievable. That race really, I thought McSally would win that one fairly easily, but it just, and then, and of course, California is totally gone. Frankenstein got reelected, and so forth about there, and of course the new governor and so forth. Colorado's gone really. That state is just becoming real blue, and they even elected a gay governor, I understand now, and so I mean it's really gone down the tubes, and of course. They legalized marijuana, and I have a friend out there, and he says this state's going down the tubes.
Well,
because people are not thinking anymore; they're all potheads.
Well, I've got to get some other commercials in here, but the election, yes, it went maybe the way I wanted it to. I did not want to see the Republicans lose the House. They did lose the House, but they did gain more seats in the Senate. I was happy at the outcome here in the state of Idaho with the election of Brad Little, way over Paulette Jordan. I'll tell you one other race that made me really feel good, and quickly comment, don't go long on this, was the fact that Linda Wright Harkin won and defeated soundly Deborah Silvers.
Yeah, Deborah Silvers is absolutely horrible. I mean, she's co-chairman of Planned Parenthood, et cetera. I mean, radical leftist stuff. And in the paper today, we got another Democrat saying globalism is the way of the future. America needs globalism. And, of course, nationalism just, you and I.
We're gonna be talking about that issue tomorrow, Adrian. I'm going to be talking about nationalism on the program tomorrow. Right now, I told you I got to have a short answer. I got to run.
Our work cut out for them, but our education system, we're getting the Common Core right down from the UN, and that's really a problem.
I agree. Thank you. Hate to cut everybody short, but I got some bills I have to pay. Caller, I'll be right there. Do not go away. I want to remind everybody about Berry Equipment and Rental. And, of course, they have 3 locations, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and a Nampa location, serving you with the best of equipment rentals and retail equipment sales. And when I say retail equipment sales, right now on the Bobcats, 0% interest up to 60 months on the Bobcat. Stop in and find out the information you need. Berry Equipment and Rental. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with Juan, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, Eli, and the Nampa location of the best, Berry Equipment and Rental. Caller, I'm a-coming. Hang on just a second. Don't forget, too, our friends at Dino Septic Service. Holy moly, they do the job that you and I don't want to do. I don't want to stand out there and pump a septic tank or liquid waste removal or water and sewer lines installed or cleaned up. I mean, they do it with a big smile on their face, and they do their job so well. They've recently expanded to better serve more people in the Magic Valley. Please get a hold of them today. In Rupert, call 436-6526. In Burley, 678-1638. With that big truck that says, smells cargo. on the way. Dino's Septic Service. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. It's the Yummy Man. Today at the Senior Junction Center, we're going... is that me?
No, it's my cow telling me I've got another call, but go ahead, Joe.
We're going to have birthday and anniversary dinner. That means it's turkey and dressing, mashed taters and gravy, green beans, cranberry sauce, yummy dessert. And we want everybody to make an effort to be there and show up and have turkey.
All right, Joe. God bless you, man. The Yummy Man from the Senior Junction. Joe, take care. I'll look forward to hearing from you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
All right, thank you. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
The next election is going to be determined about the demographic change.
Yep.
If something drastic isn't done about the border, I think we're going to see a catastrophe for the next election.
The next election is going to have the Democrats being much more prepared. They are going to be ready with both guns loaded in their holsters, and they're going to come after everybody. If you think that the Beto O'Rourke's are going to leave and run away, no, they're not. If you think that Georgia potential governor Stacey Abrams, a black socialist that believes in open borders, is going to run away, no, she is not. If you think that the race in Arizona with Democratic Sinema, I mean, some of the vile things she said, if you think she's going to go away, no, she is not. We've got to be better prepared, and I'll tell you something, as a warning to the Republican Party, they better start a training and vigorous regimen to be ready for the onslaught that's going to come up in 2020, because it's going to be a lot tougher.
I think there's going to be a major demographic change to the point where they're going to outvote any American politicians that's in office today, and I really feel that it's inevitable.
You know, Tony, there were a couple things that really bothered me yesterday, and I know I'm going to be called a bigot and everything else over this, but I don't care. The very disgusting Muslim Keith Ellison that basically has been accused, and the video, I guess, backs it up, of beating and battering his girlfriend, but he seems like he gets off the hook for this. He won the Minnesota Attorney General position yesterday, and also a couple of women in Michigan and Minnesota won. They are Muslim women elected to Congress. Now, I am very wary of what's taking place in politics in those states and what might take place in other states in future elections.
That's right. I see what happened in the city I came from back east. I see it happening here.
Well, I tell you what, I'm happy for the results, and it was kind of a gimme, I think, in some respects, to see the Democrats maybe take back over the House. I just hope that they can take a couple of smart pills and legislate instead of investigating. And I also hope that the Democrats throw Nancy Pelosi out as Speaker. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think right now, really, she's suffering from dementia, and I don't think she's qualified for that. She can't stand the pressure. If Trump gets on her case, she's just liable to fall apart.
Yeah, maybe that's a good thing to keep her then, because I think she will fall apart. So. Thank you, Tony. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Caller number 2, I'm going to ask you to please stay there for a moment because I've got to get this weather in, and I know you want to hear it also, so stay tuned. We'll be right with you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they are located right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room, and they have just recently welcomed another doctor of audiology, Dr. Shane Hunsaker, joining Dr. Pickup and Dr. Mitchell. What a great business this is, serving you and your hearing health. Please get a hold of them today. 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
The winds are finally dying down. The sun is going to shine, but we are going to be chilly. Here's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. Expecting sunny skies for the day. Winds are actually dying down out of the south, right around 8 miles an hour. We're expecting a high of 45. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, slightly breezy, low of 24. Tomorrow, sunny skies, expecting a high of 42 with a light breeze. By Thursday evening, clear skies and a low of 19. By Friday, sunny skies, high of 46. Partly cloudy for Friday night with a low of 27. By Saturday, mostly sunny and 47. And for Veterans Day Sunday, sunshine and 43. That's a look at your weather forecast on 7th Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Excellent job. Brought to everybody by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And they do a wonderful, wonderful job of serving your hearing health needs. Please call them today for an appointment, 312-0957. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
Yeah, that caller that called about the interpreter at the voting booth.
Yeah.
That bothers me because America, our national language is English. And to become a truck driver, you are supposed to be able to read and understand and speak English.
Right.
To go to a voting booth, to be able to vote, I feel you should be able to speak and understand and read English.
I feel the same way.
I seen a friend of mine in California. He posted a voter sticker like we get here. It says, I voted. But around the edge of the sticker, it had 5 different languages.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That also bothers me because we are not Spanish. We are not Japanese. We are not Korean. We are American.
What is the number one language that is espoused and used by international airline pilots all over the globe?
English.
Oh, gee. But we can't do it here?
That's my problem. We are catering to people wanting to come to America that don't want to become Americans.
You know, if I came to this country, and regardless of what point of the compass I came from, I would want to assimilate and learn the language as fast as I could, whether it's through maybe somebody that's appointed to help people learn the language or whatever. I would want to assimilate. I wouldn't want to stay in my own little bubble speaking a language that nobody else could comprehend and or have any empathy for me because I'm from a foreign country. I'd try to learn as fast as I could. And quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of giving all the amenities to other people to stay in their own little environment and not assimilate.
That's just it. If you don't assimilate to the country you come to, then you are a problem to the country that is hosting you. You are not part of a solution. You're part of the problem.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's quite simple.
And what the gentleman had said earlier this morning, I thank him for calling in and giving us that circumstance, because the polling place, as far as I'm concerned, is not where you want to visit with your neighbor or find out about so-and-so, I read their name in the obituary column, or so-and-so just got a divorce. Forget it. Keep your mouth shut. Do the little things that need to be said and done. But it's not a place to visit with your neighbors, and it's not a place for joking and kidding, distracting other voters.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It should be quiet, just like a library.
Absolutely.
You should show respect for everybody else in there. If you're going to laugh and joke, go outside.
Yeah.
Get your laughs and jokes done, come back in and do it properly. It bothers me that we are catering to people that want to bring our country down.
You know, it's really funny, Doug. I wish you could read some of the things that we get over here by a very small minority of people that have no courage or backbone to sign their name to anything. But the minute we start talking about issues like this, they rev up their old email machine and they start sending me hate mail because they want their left slant on everything. And quite frankly, like you said, this is America. It's an English-speaking nation. Why in the world are we catering, spending, and taking the extra time to help everybody basically fragment our society?
Exactly. The burden we put on our schools with all these have to speak all these different languages in the schools, to have all the interpreters in the classrooms. That money could be more spent on helping with scholarships and Pell Grants for needy children that are in homes that their parents are trying, but for circumstances beyond their control, they haven't been able to get a foot up, but we can help the kids.
I think English should be a fast-track avenue. It should be like the Daytona 500. When you come to this country, you should try to learn English or be almost coerced and forced to learn English as fast as you can, because I'm going to say something right here that's going to draw more ire against me. I think that's one of the problems why some of the SAT tests and other testing that's going on in our school by people that can't understand the language efficiently and proficiently, it's dragging down the test scores.
Well, I think you're right. I really do. I mean, English is easy to learn to speak. I learned it when I was a baby, so, I mean.
Okay, Doug. Thank you.
Little sarcasm.
I know there was. Thank you very much for your call. God bless you, man. Thanks.
Hey, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Go eat lunch there one day, just one day, and you'll want to go back time and time again for all of the knowledge that is in that room.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Bennett Boys Auction Service is going to have a ripping good sale this Saturday at 11 o'clock over in Jerome area at 246 North, 300 West. From the center of Jerome, go west for 3 miles, then north 2.5 miles. Look for the signs. Lunch by the Cook Shack, and they're going to have tractors and dump trucks and pickups and haying equipment, trailers, and livestock items, all kinds of farm equipment, everything. Another good sale put on and managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. Absolutely. This Saturday over in the Jerome area. Richard Golding Auction. Don't forget that. Coming up at 11 o'clock on this Saturday. Managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I do want to say this. I feel bad that Proposition 1, the horse racing issue, failed. I do feel bad about that. I know I took criticism over my stand on that too, but I'm not going to weaken. I think it would have been a real plus and asset to get the horse industry back up to where it should be and has been in the past. I felt bad that lost. On Proposition 2, I got to tell you, folks, that's an issue that I'm still out to lunch on. I voted against it. Even after all the talks with my dear, dear friend, Representative Fred Wood and others, I voted against it. And our governor supported it, etc. I'm sorry. I just found some holes in the screen door that I thought the flies were coming in. And I couldn't support it. And people always say, well, how did you vote? I'm telling you honestly. I felt bad Prop 1 lost. And I also, to some extent, felt bad Prop 2 won. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to remind you about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations saying be ready for anything this weather and this winter with all the mud and the ice and the snow and everything on the highways. Be careful out there. They've got all the tires for your cars, pickups, SUVs. They've got for your cars, of course, the all-season tire, the road control tire, Touring AS. And they've got for your great big SUVs and pickups, the backcountry all-terrain. Oh, man, you can get through anything with those. Stop in and check it out at any one of the 7 locations today of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, great people, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I've got exactly 1 minute. Go.
You know, hey, Zeb, I agree with you on Prop 2. It's waste. It's going to affect the state in ways we haven't seen. People don't realize that right now Medicaid takes anywhere from 2 to 3 years to pay back the doctors. People are complaining about people not accepting Medicare. They're not going to accept Medicaid, just like they don't accept Medicare because they do not get paid. And it's amazing to me that people like Wood, who was a doctor, should know that stuff, isn't paying attention to it. And I kind of feel like we were all sold out on that Prop 2 by everybody in the state of Idaho.
Well, there was a lot of issues pro and con on it, and I'm not going to denigrate anybody's feeling or philosophy on the props, but I thought, honestly, like I said a minute ago, and that's the program I try to perpetrate, is honesty. I really was hoping Prop 1 would win because I wanted to see not just horse racing, for heaven's sakes, but the entire horse industry and its related businesses brought back up to the par that it once was. And on Prop 2, I still have some major concerns about people basically getting involved in Medicaid expansion and not trying to better their own responsibility.
Well, and I agree with you. And like I was saying, it right now, and I know for a fact because my wife's in the health industry and she deals with Medicaid because they're one of the only outfits in the area that does. They don't get paid for anything when it deals with Medicaid for up to 2 years. So if they do something today, they can't see any reimbursement from 2 years from today. And that's if everything goes as planned with the state. And you know what? There's a lot of doctors who do not take Medicare for that very reason. They don't get paid for it, or they don't get paid as much. You're going to see doctors doing the same thing. So, you know what? They can all enjoy having health care, but you're not going to be able to see any doctors. All it's going to do is hurt the ER and all that stuff like that.
I've got to run. I wished I had more time. Thank you very much. I'm running a little bit late. We're going to send it back over to our main studio right now, and we're going to get ready for CBS News. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Wheels, please. We're going to talk about that last story tomorrow on our program. I've got some comments I want to make about what happened up at the U of I, and then also about an op-ed that was in our paper here about 6-7 days ago. Don't go away, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And of course, don't forget some of our great advertisers, like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And they are helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, do you realize we're only a couple of weeks away from Thanksgiving and you're going, oh my goodness, we've got to clean up the house and get rid of a bunch of junk and we better clean out the garage and everything. Oh, you might need a dumpster. Don't forget they've got dumpsters in various sizes they can bring to you from Western Waste Services. Fill it up and then call them and they'll come get it. Oh my, the number to call and find out more, 734-6969. It's true, they are always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, you call them today. I know somebody else that absolutely is serving you, and you can call them for a free quote and schedule an appointment to have them put up your Christmas lights. Listen to this. Forever Green Lawn and Tree Service. They know it's hard to get outside and sometimes climb up the ladder and everything. Boy, in my case, it's a circus. Anyway, don't forget Forever Green Lawn and Tree Service. Very experienced staff to help you out, and they can schedule an appointment, come out and give you a quote, everything. Just call the number at 423-6454. You know you got to hang a 208 on the front of it. It's 423-6454. For Evergreen Lawn and Tree Service, you call them today. Really, really good people. One last word here this morning real quick, and then we'll go to our guest. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, of course, trying to keep you comfortable and save you money. Ramsey Heating and Electric offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases, and all you gotta do is just give them a call and find out more. 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric at, of course, Overland John, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Over 6 decades of serving you. Well, I'm very anxious to hear this gentleman's appraisal, if you will, of what took place yesterday at the midterm elections. And we say good morning to a dear, dear friend, Dave Bego. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Zeb. How are you doing this morning?
Well, not bad. I am, I think, a little bit more than concerned. A lot of people are kind of going, okay, well, the Democrats, they are going to take back over the House. But the Republicans gained more seats in the Senate. But you know something, Dave? There were a lot of races, like the Beto O'Rourke against Ted Cruz, very close. Fortunately, Cruz won. Josh Hawley over Claire McCaskill. Ron DeSantis over the very left-wing socialist Andrew Gillum. The race in Georgia still not settled for governor. The race in Arizona still not settled for the Senate position. I was surprised the left showed as strong as they did. What are your thoughts?
I really wasn't, Zeb, and I think I had mentioned this in the past couple of weeks, that behind the scenes, the far left, Soros and the unions and that, were pouring a lot of money into this election because they wanted to get control of the country. And they really went after it in a lot of these states, and that's why I think we're seeing the voting was so close, and that they picked up a lot of seats in the House.
Tell me about the race in Indiana. I know you know Mr. Braun. I think you said he was a personal friend of yours. Tell us about that race and your thoughts on the end result.
I thought that it was great, and I thought he would win. Even though they showed it would be a close race in the polls, and that he's won by about a 9-point margin, and I think it's a good thing for Indiana, and I think we'll move forward on stuff. And it's good to see us get back into that because we know we now have 2 Republican senators.
What was your feeling, though, Dave, when you looked at the overall picture of Pelosi, Schumer, and the rest of them with Cheshire Cat grins on their faces that they took back over the House? A lot of people are saying that the Democrats don't want Nancy Pelosi to regain the speakership title. What's your thoughts overall about what took place last night?
Well, it's sad that they lost the House, but as I mentioned, that's because behind the scenes there was a lot of footwork out there and money being poured into the Democrats by the far left, and they of course they want the radical people run the House like Pelosi and Schumer and stuff like that, and that's my concern. But I see the other side of it is that a lot of normal Democrats, conventional Democrats, don't want to see those type people in the House leading it. And it's going to be interesting to see where this whole thing goes, because we as a country got to get back to where we work together and do the right things for the American people and for this country. And I think, though, the far left, is going to continue to try and control what's going on in the Democratic Party and who gets the House leadership.
One of the things you just said was brought to mind last night. There was a very short interview with former Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell, and he was asked about the Democrats taking back over the House, and they asked him any advice he would give the Democrats by taking back over the House leadership, and he said, yes, legislate, don't investigate. Do you think they'll hold to that?
Well, again, that's. I think it's going to be a tough thing for them because, behind the scenes, even though they've got a majority in the House, the Democrats are going to be intimidated by the far leftists, and and they're going to be bribed also, and. That's, I'm afraid, is going to control a lot where this thing goes. I'm just hoping that your conventional Democrats who really care about this country stand up and have some backbone and tell the far left, no, we're not putting up with your stuff anymore.
Yeah, and what really shocks me, though, and I want you to comment on this, that Keith Ellison, the Muslim from Minnesota, he won the state attorney general position yesterday, and he's still up on investigation for beating his girlfriend. And then in Michigan and Minnesota, we saw Muslim women elected to Congress. There's a trend in this country, along with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the youngest woman elected to Congress, and she is a devout socialist. Does all this kind of give you a little itch and scare you a little bit?
Well, it certainly always does. It always does. And, you see in those particular areas, and in Michigan, too, I can tell you, the unions were really pouring out money big time because, they're big up there with the auto manufacturers up there, GM and the Ford and the rest of them, and they're pushing back, and they're really trying to get, in Michigan, people elected that they can overturn the right to work up there. And, if you remember, I helped get right to work passed in Michigan because they read my first book, and a bunch of United Auto Workers, and they called me and asked me to come up and help them, and I did, and we got it passed. Well, and there was an article the other day that came out that the auto worker unions, UAW and some other ones, are really pushing hard to get some of these other people in place so they can get right to work overturned. And I'm sure they were out there again, really pushing for these people to get elected and make sure they had plenty of money for the process and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to see this in these radical states. And, and of course in Wisconsin, Scott Walker got beat. And you're going to see that one turn around because the unions were behind that. The union that I beat, the SEIU, was really out there to get him out of office.
What do you see, Dave, as a businessman, entrepreneur, and your status of really knowing and understanding what's going on in politics? What do you see for the next 2 years leading up to 2020 as far as how can the Trump administration really put their best foot forward for the American public when somebody on the other side is trying to trip them up? What do you see?
Well, it's the battle's going to continue, and but again, I'm hoping that conventional Democrats stand up and start pushing the left out. But it's going to be tough to do because they have a lot of money they're pouring into this thing, and they want more money by getting people elected that allow the unions to go back out and force unionize people and get their membership rolls back up so they get more dues money for their own pocket and their political agenda, which is to bring down this country and you make it into a socialist, communistic country. And people are going to have to stand up hard, and I think they can win if they do. They just got to realize that they have to stand up and have a backbone and look these people in the eye and say, we're not going to allow this.
And you take the personalities, and I'm just going to name some of them, like Ocasio-Cortez and Gillibrand, and you talk about, of course, down in Georgia, Stacey Abrams, very, very open left socialist, no borders, everybody come on in. Andrew Gillum, another avowed socialist that wants no borders and everybody, you all come on in. And then you've got Beto O'Rourke that was funded heavily from Hollywood and outside sources. I tell you what, even though the election went the way I wanted it to go yesterday, I still fear what's looming on the horizon.
Oh, yeah, this is all going to continue, and Trump has to continue to be strong and get out and be around the country. And, this is one of the things that, I mentioned in my book and blogs that the reason I won is because I got out and I got in front of my employees and customers and other people in the areas that we were under attack all the time. And he has to continue to do that. And he has to do it not just for the Senate, but also for Congress to help his congressional people. And he does have to get the border sealed off because they're going to use that border to bring people in that will vote illegally.
Let's talk a little bit about that. I don't know what the game plan is from the Trump administration to basically thwart, stop, and turn around the migrants coming up on that border caravan, but it's got to be firm. And if, I said yesterday on the program, if Donald Trump and his administration turn into like a matador with a cape, Olay, and let him in, we're done. There will never be any border security from that point on.
Well, that's right. We're a nation of laws, and we got to uphold the laws. And if these people want to come to the United States, they got to go through the process and become legal citizens. Period. And I think Trump's doing the right thing with all the military he's putting down there. And they're talking about having up to 15,000, 20,000 military, and using helicopters to go over the border all the time, and that. And he needs to do these things. And these are the type of things that will seal the border off. A wall definitely would help, but people will still dig tunnels under the wall and everything like that. Our military is the best option in my mind.
I totally agree with you, but there has to be a firmness, and like I said, there has to be a game plan when some of these people... Here's something else that really bugs me. The news media is lying. The news media is lying when they say that they're basically comprised of mothers, and they're destitute, and they're homeless, and their little children are starving. You keep looking at the films and the videos on various newscasts and just go ahead and start counting. And they're basically numbers, huge numbers of young men that are traveling solo, 18 to 35, and nobody has a clue as to who they are or what is their background.
Well, yeah, that's right. And again, these people are being paid to come to this country and do this caravan march and do that. And because this is what the far left wants. And they can bring these people in and control these people and use these people to vote in their favor and, bring in their socialist thought patterns. And this is what this is all about. And, people need to step back and look around the world and understand that America is the greatest country in the history of the world, and that our capitalism works and our free markets work, and we need to do this everywhere. Because if it wasn't great, these people wouldn't want to come here. But it is great, and that's what they want to do. But then the people that are controlling them want to turn us back into socialists.
Absolutely. I want to talk to you about an issue that for some reason, after a boggled mess by the Democrats and specifically Barack Obama with health care and Obamacare, if you will, and now it seems like that's the flag that's flying high in the camp of the Democrats, that they know everything about health care and they're going to implement a plan that everybody should have in America. I honestly believe that they're going to end up pushing for a single-payer system, which I think and have said many times on my program, it will be the ruination and devastation of healthcare in this country forever.
Yeah, they pick their different topics to go after, and that they can go out and brainwash people that they're trying to do great things for them, and this is all about them, and this is what we want for you, and the other party, the Republican Party, they don't care about you, and it's the same tactics I went through with the SEIU, and people have to look through the garbage and understand that these people are saying all this stuff for their own good, but not for the people's good. And it's better to step back and watch what they do, not what they say.
What do you think, though, is going to be going on in the background, starting this morning, honestly, this morning with the Democrats and the very liberal far left? I think, to put it bluntly, they had a little taste of blood yesterday, and I think they're going to be organizing and really going for the jugular. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, I think they will. I mean, it's as I've said time and again, it's their goal is to bring this country down, and they're going to do everything they can to stall Trump. And I saw some on TV where some Democrats say we don't want to do the impeachment thing, but I'm sure that they're going to try and do anything they can to bring him down and get him out of office. And the Republican Party, especially the people in the Senate now, that they've got a bigger majority, they have to have some backbone, and they got to stand up and go after these people.
What about the economy, Dave? Back in Indiana, was that a big issue in favor of the Trump administration and in favor of Republicans like Braun, et cetera? Was the economy the big issue back there?
I think it was part of the issue. I think the other things that people are seeing is that Trump is being strong around the world with these countries that have tried to attack us and come after us. And you think about it in the news, we don't hear much about Korea or Iran or anybody or that coming after us. Trump has pretty much pushed them back, and he's controlling what's going on, and that's good. And I think people in the Midwest understand that.
Do you think, though, to kind of go along a little sideline on that we, the public, I feel, we should demand of the news media to keep us informed as to any alterations or changes on some of these stories, be it Iran, be it Afghanistan, be it North Korea, be it Russia. All of this with our political season was thrown under the carpet, and there's a lot of things that have been going on daily that we have not been informed about.
They're only going to say what the far left, the Soros and the unions and the other people in the deep state, far left, are going to allow them to say, because if they step out and say things that the far left doesn't like, they're going to go after their advertisers. It's all about a financial thing for the media.
I agree. On a lighter note, Andrew Luck is playing better football this year, and my Green Bay Packers, evidently they forgot how to hold on to a football. Fumbleitis has hit Green Bay and cost them 2 games in a row.
Yeah, they need some hand stick 'em. There's no doubt about that. It's too bad, but, and especially losing to Boston, that just really upset me. But hopefully they'll get it back together, and the last half of the season they'll charge through it.
I hope so, Dave. I really appreciate your insight, and knowing a lot of the people back in the Midwest like you do, Vice President Pence, etc. I appreciate your comments. Thank you very much, Dave Bigo, and enjoy. Tonight when you get home, just open up one of those many, many bottles of wine that I've sent you and sit there and enjoy the comfort of your lazy boy.
Thank you. I plan on doing that. You have a good evening.
All right, Dave. Thank you. Dave Bigo, Indianapolis, Indiana. Good friend and author and businessman. Let me tell you, he's a sharp cookie. I want to remind you, too, on Thursdays we have a segment called Cassia Regional Hospital, and you meet your friends and your neighbors that are dedicated medical experts serving you at Cassia Regional Hospital. They are your friends and your neighbors, and it's quality care close to home at Cassia Regional Hospital, and we have that at 9:17 on Thursdays. Thank you very much. There's another group that just started not too long ago, and I really give a lot of kudos out to Holly and the rest of the folks at Minnecasia Hearts for Seniors. It's located at 135 East 23rd Drive in Burley, and Holly Rowe, of course, hit a home run out of the park with this business, I think. It's helping seniors that want to stay at home. That's right. They want to stay at home. They don't want to be shipped off to some other place. They want to stay at home, but they might need a little help with meal preparation or personal hygiene or light housekeeping, or errands need to be run. All you need to do to find out more about Minnecasia Hearts for Seniors is call the number 312-5715. That number again, 312-5715. Holly Rowe, or go to her website, Holly at heartsforseniors.net. Really a great idea. I want to also say a big, big thank you and shout out to Hanson Mortuary with Joel Heward, his family, and his staff. And I urge all of us should get the pre-planning of funerals to take and alleviate a lot of the pressure from our family members. And they always really acknowledge the solemn responsibility that they have to provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. And here's the key: always upholding highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. They really care, and they will serve you. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. Or you can also get a hold of Joel Heward, serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Really nice people. Oh, my goodness. Did you hear about the great big harvest sale that is going on at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More? Whoa! 40% off the retail price of furniture and mattresses and dining room sets, motion furniture, bedroom sets. Wow. I'm telling you, no money down, no interest, up to 48 months on approved credit. You'd better get in the old four-wheel wonder and head over there right now. Jeff and the rest of the crew are waiting to serve you at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Believe me, the best quality, best service, best prices at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Great, great folks. Let's see what else have we got cooking. Tomorrow on the program, I want to remind you that we've got Cassia County School Days, we've got our chamber report, we've got Cassia Regional Hospital, we've got Rita Ramsey tomorrow. Everything, big, big day on Thursdays. Don't you miss it. I want to remind you, too, about Let's Ride, and then we're going to go to our next guest. Let's Ride over at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. My goodness sakes, they've got all the fun things for you. All the snowmobiles. Snow's going to be falling. I saw a load of snowmobiles going through my area yesterday. Optimistic, the snow's coming down. And don't forget, they've got all the ATVs. They've got a showroom just absolutely chock full of fun. And, of course, all the accessories to go along with it. And to keep you running, the best doggone service department around. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24, between Rupert and the World. Yep, it's true. This is where the fun is sold. I want to go to the phone line right now, and I want to apologize for a little raspy throat and a cold that's been fighting me for about 2 weeks, and it's winning. I want to say a good morning to a gentleman that has never been on my program before, but I'm anxious to hear about his book called Push Back. And I'm going to say his name, and then I'm going to wait for him to correct me because I'll probably pronounce it wrong. I'd like to say a good morning to Rabbi Ari Sparrow. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Not bad. Most people call me Ari. The name really is Aryeh, but everybody calls me Ari, so hey, I'm fine with it.
Well, you know something? I appreciate your correcting me because I do not want to address you with the wrong name, and I thank you for coming on the program. This book that you have, Pushback, Reclaiming Our American Judeo-Christian Ethos, wow. I mean, how are we going to do it? Please, Rabbi, tell me. It's almost past time, and I'm getting worried that we're on the road to ruin and can never turn this bus around.
Well, those of us who know what this Judeo-Christian ethos is and how it contributed mightily to the whole formation of our country and the blessedness that we've seen these 250, 300 years, those of us who still know about it, our duty is to pass it on to our children, relatives, friends, and to vigorously advance its propositions to the population and through the political process. If we don't forcefully, with pride and confidence, communicate to people that this is what America is about, then people will not know. They only know what they are told by people from a previous generation. And we're not advancing it. We're not promoting it. We're allowing people to think that America is all about, well, what socialists call fairness, which means that we're supposed to provide, the government is supposed to provide equal outcomes, when really it's all about equal opportunity.
That's right.
We've got to teach it. It's hard to do because the schools, that educational establishment, they're not for it. Politicians are afraid to speak about it because it sounds religious. Parents are afraid to talk about it, either because they think, well, it's old-fashioned and corny and they've got to move on to something new, or just simply that they figure their children will pick it up through osmosis. But we really have to vigorously communicate it because it's the truth and it's the key to our future success.
Rabbi, I don't know how old you are. I'm 71 years old, and I guess my generation should take the blame for letting this very liberalized idea perpetrate our schools and our churches and start to disintegrate any moral value in this country. I'll take the blame along with others of my generation. But really, how? How can we turn this bus around? You said that basically forcefully with pride and confidence, but how do you go about changing this mess?
Well, this is the question that people ask me all the time, and I can't give a guarantee.
Yeah.
It's not like an election where there's this formula. You pay for ads, you get out and you campaign, because I don't know in the history of the world if there's ever been a record of a movement of an idea that has been silenced and suppressed, resurrecting itself and re-energizing and re-identifying a population. I don't know. I do know that there were ideas that didn't exist, be it Judaism, Christianity, that came out and then they spread. But what we're talking about here, where there was an idea, and slowly it was chiseled away and almost forgotten, like in Europe it's completely forgotten. And then you have a group that says, no, we've got to resurrect this, and we've got to reassert it and have a population live by it, identify by it. I don't know if there's an historical precedent. So it's not like a political campaign. There's a formula. But I just know that maybe we are the people to make this historical precedent.
I agree.
You can't do it unless you're out there with pride and confidence asserting it and explaining it. And I think it has more to do with morality. It transcends issues like abortion, but it has to do, the Judeo-Christian ethos has nothing to do with going to church or synagogue every week, or if you're counting rosary beads. It's an ethos. It's an outlook on life. And this is what it is. It's the idea of personal responsibility, accountability, judging people not as members of a group, but as individuals. The idea of capitalism, free markets, the idea that liberty is more important than phony security, which brings on socialism. Those are the ideas of the Judeo-Christian ethos, and if you live by them, you'll probably have a moral life, and also the difference between right versus wrong. No collectivism, but having the confidence that every individual is doing what is beneficial for himself, not as selfishness, but in self-interest. And finally, the idea of local control over centralized control. That's the ethos, unique to America. That's the Judeo-Christian platform. People don't know that. If they knew it, they might be gravitating to it, eager to have it, thirsting for it. Also, the idea of local control. In the Bible, it talks about every man sitting under his fig tree, under his vineyard, the idea of private property, not collectivism.
Absolutely.
That's been bequeathed to us. It's a tremendous gift that we have between the Old and the New Testament. That's what we mean by the Judeo-Christian ethos. I don't have a guarantee, but I know that it's inspiring, and if we speak about it, and we say, no, that's the identity of America, because on the other side, the socialists, which is the Democrat Party, they have a lot of confidence in telling us that in the name of fairness, basically, you should be a socialist country. So we have to have the same type of forcefulness. That's our identity. And just one more thing. A family, a corporation, a country cannot exist without an identity. And if it changes its identity, it no longer is what it purported to be in the beginning. And then the whole dynamic is up in the air. So we have to assert this is our identity, it's what's made us successful, and this is the key to our future.
You know, Rabbi, you touched on so many things. I mean, my ink pen's red hot right now. I had to set it down. I was trying to take notes. You talk about identity. This country was founded upon the Judeo-Christian ethics and values. And we are slowly but surely watching the left and socialism and their lack of values take over this country. Yesterday's election showed that. Fortunately, many of the socialists and their thinking were defeated yesterday, but you know as well as I do, they're going to rear their ugly head in the future and come back. It's got to start in the school system, I believe, and with the parents at home. And my question is, and I'm not trying to keep turning the wheel back to this spot, how do we get the younger generation of parents to understand that we've got to restore the Judeo-Christian ethic? How do we get the teachers in the schools to start changing things and get away from the socialistic values? How do we do this?
Socialistic values, the socialistic tyranny. People have to understand that socialism is tyranny.
Right.
If you put the liberal, well, they're not liberals anymore. They're hardcore leftists. If you put them in control, or the Hillary Clintons of the world, or if Obama would come back again, I mean, you wouldn't have free speech, you wouldn't have free assembly. They would. The Bill of Rights would be for them, but not for us. Well, what you have to do is start with local. People have to run for school boards. They must run for school boards. They must run for every local institution that we still all have. At this point, education is not formally centralized through Washington, although Common Core is quite a danger. We have to run for school boards. We have to run for libraries, because libraries also decide what books are allowed and what books are not. You know, they're purging the libraries of good historical books. They don't want our children to know the narrative, the story of America. They don't want them to have heroes like Washington and Jefferson. That's why they're maligning them all the time. Slave owners, this, that, misogynists, whatever label they can come up, because if they can destroy the heroes of our history, then they can destroy that which they believed in. So you've got to run for every possible local office. And people have to get off their fanny, and they have to say, we've got to be involved in the political process. This idea that, which was prevalent in America after World War II for about 50 years, that we could just sit back and everything would take care of itself, it's not going to work anymore, because you have a mobilized, militant left wing that is zealous. It's more zealous than any religion. It's doctrinaire. They are on the warpath. So this idea of just going to work, coming home, sitting in front of the TV, having pizza, go to do bowling, and not be involved in civic life, if we continue that, we're finished. So you've got to run for anything that has to do with local zoning. You've got to run for the school board, things for library board. If you're on the school board, you can get rid of Common Core, because Common Core is trying to, in a certain way, just make all of us think the same common, uniform way. It's almost like a form of communism. It's an indoctrination. You have to be active. You've got to protest. You've got to do rallies. You don't have to be like Antifa and break glass and beat up people, but you've got to protest things. You get together with friends. You make a protest if something is incorrectly being done at the schools or in zoning or at the libraries or on other issues. And you bring out 100 people. You make your placards. You get the television people. You can do this stuff. You have to protest. You have to rally. You've got to constantly call up your legislatures, all of your local people, city council, town councils, state representatives, state senators. You've got to call them. You have to be organized. It has to become part of your life. It can no longer be that you just come home at 5 o'clock and then you just vegetate. This has to be your life.
Amen.
You've got to be a soldier.
Amen. Rabbi, it seems like today, and I'm going to be very blunt about this, that we, the United States of America, and many, many of our politicians and many of the movements in this country are accepting Muslim influence coming into our country, but turning away from our friends, i.e. you and others, especially giving a cold shoulder to Israel. I'm fed up with this, and I really don't know how we can turn this around, but I'd like your thoughts about how we're allowing some to have an influence over us, while at the same time we shun our friends and our allies.
Well, there's two things about. One is A lot of us don't have guts, and certainly politicians don't have guts. So they don't want to be in the ones to stop the spread of militant Islam or the Sharia. And, the Sharia law of the Muslims basically says that the loyalty is to the law of Islam before the laws of the country, before the Constitution. They'll say the Constitution is man-made. Their laws of Sharia, they'll say, are divine, and they choose Sharia over the laws of the land. And Sharia can talk about vaginal mutilation. That's a form of their circumcision. There could be honor killing. It's the push of Islam. Sharia, one of the first commandments of Sharia is to push Islam to take over societies and to make them Islamic. And so a lot of politicians, they don't have the courage to stand up against it because they'll be called Islamophobic. The same way that if we don't want open borders, they call us somehow racist. No, we're not racist. It's not who's coming over based on race. It's that they're not following the law or they're bringing in MS-13. So a lot of politicians are afraid of being labeled Islamophobic, and the left knows how to do this. On every single issue, the way they stop us is either by saying we're racist, Islamophobic, or we're misogynist. For white people, we're guilty. So you can't be afraid of that. Many politicians are. But there's something much worse and insidious going on. You have a lot of people in this country on the left. They want this infiltration. They're these multiculturalists. It's not for diversity. They want to change the culture of the United States. And it seems that every culture is good except for the original culture, the original American Judeo-Christian culture. Multiculturalism, we have to understand, is not to bring in a diverse amount of food and clothing, which is interesting. No, today multiculturalism is to basically destroy the American culture by saying we want all cultures. And they do, but the one culture they don't want is the American, historic American culture. So you have a lot of people, politicians, academicians, people in the colleges, they want to dilute the American culture. Certainly many of them are very bigoted. They don't like white, Christian, conservative people. They're bigoted. But they're never called on being bigoted because we don't have the guts to call them the bigots that they are. So they want the multiculturalism. They want the Islam because it dilutes Christianity, which they don't like. It dilutes the culture. They want to change the culture. So that's our problem. We need people that have guts, and I'm not going to be afraid to be called a name. When I was a kid, there was this expression, sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Everybody's so afraid of being called a name, but we, unfortunately, on the left, we have people that they love the fact that there's an Islam, because Islam is fervent in trying to overtake a culture, and they want to destroy our culture. What gets me, what's mind-boggling to me, is so many of these people were born Christian, they're white people, and they hate their own culture.
Yeah.
It's like a self-hate. So they're partnering up with Islam, and that's a big problem.
And Rabbi, I need to bring this out, and it's such a sad commentation on what's happening in our world today, and especially right here in the United States, with the absolute terror and horror to the shootings that took place in Pittsburgh at a Jewish synagogue. And my heart goes out to you, and I absolutely feel that your group is being so persecuted all the way from World War II to today, and it seems like the hatred and the insurrection against you is becoming worse instead of tapering off and getting better with any semblance of common sense.
Well, we haven't been persecuted in America. America's been great. This fellow went into a synagogue and he killed 11 Jews. It's just terrible. But a person went into a church in Texas, was a year ago, and killed many people in that church. A person went into a church in Charleston, and they were mowed down. So the Jews are not the only people that are victims. I mean, in this country, there are people that have been victims of Islamic terror. Look what happened in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale area. Or is it Orlando? I can't remember exactly. Mm-hmm. And look what happened out in, was it San Bernardino in California?
Right.
Where Muslim, they call them extremists, radicals. I don't know how extreme or radical. They were on a mission. They were on their jihad. And my goodness, what they did, they mowed down people that they knew in San Bernardino, and look what they did in Florida, and look up in Boston what these two Muslim brothers did at the Boston Marathon. So it's not unique to Jews. What you have today is, though, no question, a lot of anti-Semitism coming from the right, but also from the left. The left is anti-Israel. Much of the left is anti-Jewish. At least people that ran just yesterday on behalf of the Democrat Party, some of them in the Bronx in New York, some in Michigan, some in Minnesota, out and out anti-Semites, Jew haters.
Mm-hmm.
So we have it, but thus far, America's been great to the Jewish people. Until yesterday, there was only one incident of a Jew being killed because he was a Jew. That was a fellow named Leo Frank. In Georgia, there was a case, somebody thought he had killed a young woman. This was like in the 1920s, was it, or 1914, I forget. But so there's no persecution here of Jews. There's no oppression of Jews, but there are a lot of anti-Semites out there, no doubt about it.
Let me ask you this quickly. I've only got a minute left in this segment, Rabbi, but your book, Pushback, where can people find it, and what's the remaining theme that you want them to remember when they read your book?
They can find it on Amazon. The theme is like this. The other side, the left, they are at war with us, and we better realize that this is a war. And that doesn't mean that we go out with guns and hurt anybody, but we have to at least use our vocabulary, our mouth, our expression, our pen, our writing, our right to activism, assembly, to run for office, local offices. We're battling for the soul of this country, which is for your children too, and it's your country. You've got to fight for it. Nothing in life remains the same, and nothing in life is gained if you just sit back.
Yep.
We all have to be soldiers stateside in preserving our culture. If our culture goes, then our democracy will go. We will have no freedom, no prosperity.
Absolutely.
It's not 10 years from now.
Absolutely. The book is called Pushback, Reclaiming Our American Judeo-Christian Ethos, and the author, and I'm going to say his name, and he's going to correct me again probably, and I deserve it, Rabbi Aryeh Sparrow. How's that?
Not bad. Rabbi Aryeh Sparrow, pretty good.
Okay. Would you do me the favor, please, of allowing me to call you back in the future? I'd like to have you back as a return guest.
Sure, my pleasure. Now, where in Idaho are you?
We're down in the southern part of the state between Twin Falls and Burley.
Okay. I was there.
Well,
I was there. I once had to visit a factory that was making some kosher lollipops.
Oh, my. Well, the next time you go back through here, if in the near future, you're more than welcome to stop in and see us. We'd love to have you on the air live. Thank you so much, Rabbi, and best wishes with your book. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I really enjoyed that, man, and his name is Rabbi Aryeh Sparrow, and worldwide he's known as America's Rabbi, and his book is called Pushback, Reclaiming Our American Judeo-Christian Ethos. Wow. Wheel says, Zeb, better hurry, we got a weather forecast to get on. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, and they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. They are the best at what they do. Tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting. Maybe you're expanding your business. Maybe you're changing to a corporation, whatever. Financial statement preparation, retirement planning. All of this and so much more by the professionals with offices in Burley and Rupert, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
The winds are finally dying down. The sun is going to shine, but we are going to be chilly. Here's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. Expecting sunny skies for the day. Winds are actually dying down out of the south, right around 8 miles an hour. We're expecting a high of 45. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, slightly breezy, low of 24. Tomorrow, sunny skies, expecting a high of 42 with a light breeze. By Thursday evening, clear skies and a low of 19. By Friday, sunny skies, high of 46. Partly cloudy for Friday night with a low of 27. By Saturday, mostly sunny and 47. And for Veterans Day Sunday, sunshine and 43. That's a look at your weather forecast on 7th Ranch.
Gina, thank you very much, and brought to you by the real professionals to help you, your family, and your business. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Once again, don't forget that Ramsey Heating and Electric, along with Lennox products, help keep you comfortable and maybe even save you money, too. Absolutely. Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases. Find out more. Give them a call at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Yep, over 6 decades of serving you. Next hour, interesting hour, we're going to be talking to Rachel Alexander with the Stream, and she's going to give us a complete overview of yesterday's election, which I think is absolutely necessary, that we understand exactly what happened and what didn't happen. And then at 10:32 this morning, Maria Espinoza is going to be talking about the Senate races in Texas and Arizona. The one in Arizona is still not finalized, and the caravan, etc. So that's coming up next hour. Don't forget to our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance over in Rupert. Yep, on Highway 24. Just as you go into Rupert, you can't miss them. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more by some folks that are really dedicated and responsive to your needs. That's right, your needs. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Now, here's the number to call. Make an appointment, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Wow, busy day, good day again. Congratulations and kudos to all of you that took the time and the effort to exercise your rights as Americans, and that's go to the polls yesterday. I think the voter turnout was a lot better than people anticipated, and I compliment you. And all my listeners, again, I said this in the first hour, you just blew me away yesterday with your phone calls and your support of the election, regardless of who you were supporting and what issues you were supporting, yes or no. Thank you very much for getting involved. Made me proud yesterday, I'll tell you that. We're going to go to the news right now from CBS, and then I said we'd be coming back with Rachel Alexander, and she's with the Stream, and she's going to be talking to us. I'm going to take a little extra time right here, get my fly swatter, and get rid of some of the hangers-on, some of the doggone pet peeves I've got here flying around in the studio. So we'll be back in about 7 minutes. Wheels, take it away if you would, please. Oh my, here we go. I know what I'm going to do. After the program's over, I'm going to get a great big cup of hot tea and just enjoy it for a while. Soothe my savage sore throat. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch, and brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I bit my tongue. Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, and they are helping you get back to being you. Want to remind you, holy moly, you talk about quality cattle sales. This is one of those. Molson, Angus, and Hereford Ranch is going to have their ripping good quality comes first production sale this on the 18th. A little bit less than 2 weeks, coming up on Sunday the 18th at the ranch near Parma. Woo! Last year, we sent a bunch of folks up there, and they said this was a premier sale. It's at the ranch near Parma, Idaho. Tri-tip lunch at noon. Sale starts at 1 on Sunday the 18th, and on Saturday, the day before 17th, there's going to be all the cattle on display. Pre-sale social with food, drinks beginning at 6 p.m. Lots of fun. And the sale, of course, taking place at the Mollison Sale Barn at 3135 Elmore Road between Fruitland and Parma, Idaho. Don't miss this sale. The Mollison, Angus, and Hereford sale coming up on Sunday the 18th. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line. This lady I really enjoy having on my program. She tells it like it is, and I respect that. And she hasn't been on for a while. She writes for thestream.org, and her name is Rachel Alexander. Rachel, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. It's in the 70s here in Arizona. I'm loving life.
I'm coming down there, as a matter of fact, at the end of January. So keep those temperatures and that sunshine ready and available for me and my wife.
It'll probably be more like 60s and 50s, but that's not bad.
No, not bad at all. Rachel, it's been some time since you've been on the program, and I want to cover a lot of ground here this morning. But first off, what were your overall thoughts as a person that watches these things, listens to these things, and studies the final outcome? What did you think about the midterm elections yesterday?
You know, I think they were pretty predictable. Generally, you know, after when a president of one party is in power, his party tends to lose the House and maybe even the Senate when the midterm elections come. So we kind of knew that Republicans were going to lose seats in the House and probably lose the House, so that's expected. And you know, the other thing that kind of that surprised me, as opposed to, you know, that was normal. I can't believe how close the elections came down to in some of these races, like the Ted Cruz versus Beto O'Rourke. I thought Ted was going to pull that one off easily. And same here in Arizona, between Kirsten Sinema and Martha McSally. It looks like Martha's won, but barely.
Well, let me interrupt you and ask you about that. Let's go back to the Cruz versus Beto O'Rourke in Texas. Now, it's no secret that there was a lot, and I'm talking tons and tons of money that was shoveled into the O'Rourke campaign from Hollywood to get him as a left-wing socialist to take over that Senate seat. But what surprises me in general is that the population of Texas was duped by a socialist movement candidate like O'Rourke. What are your thoughts?
Exactly, because Texas leans conservative. They mostly elect Republicans. So I'm surprised he did that well, and that's the same exact thing with the Arizona race as well. You know, she ran as a moderate, Kirsten Sinema did, and fooled everybody, you know, and got all the half of Arizonans to vote for her. That's crazy.
Well, you know, in regards to her as a person, she said some very inflammatory things that I live in Idaho, and I was mad enough to go all the way down there and have a confrontation with her. And she seems like she disregards the value of America. And then I'm sitting back, like you just said, and she got half the Arizona vote. How in the world are these socialists getting these kind of vote turnouts at the polls?
Well, you should have seen Kirsten Sinema's TV ads. They're so deceptive. She doesn't talk about being a Democrat. She just talks about, you know, we're going to make health care more affordable and we're going to work on education. She just says a bunch of generic things.
When you talk about, let's go from a kind of a list here. Let's talk a little bit about what happened with Ron DeSantis in Florida and his going up against Andrew Gillum, and then you can move over to Ted Cruz against Beto O'Rourke, and then you can move on over to Georgia for the governor's race with black socialist Stacey Abrams, and you can move down to Arizona. I mean, wow, is this a sign of the trend of the times to move away from what made America great and go to sleazy socialism?
Well, you know, what I've been thinking is, you know, the left dominates the media and they dominate education. They've had years of indoctrinating kids who are now millennials and, you know, young adults. And so that's what we're fighting up against. We're fighting up against this new generation of millennials that has been indoctrinated for years.
You know, Rachel, what scares me, and you can take as long as you want on answering this, but you talk about education. And whether it's in the kindergarten, high school, college, whatever it might be, of liberalism. But boy, oh boy, have we lost any grasp on why and who gave their blood, sweat, and tears and their lives for this country? Have we forgot all that, and that's why these people are coming to the forefront?
Yeah, in education, you know, they're cutting out all the knowledge about the founding fathers and, you know, the things this country was built upon. You know, they've dumbed down the textbooks and, you know, replaced them with all this politically correct history.
One of the things that happened yesterday, and I know I'm going to be called a bigot and a hate monger for saying this, but that's okay. I was watching with really strong interest some of the voting around the nation, especially back in the Midwest, where a guy that absolutely, it was caught on video, beat up his girlfriend, and I'm talking about Democratic Muslim Keith Ellison. He won the Minnesota Attorney General's position, and then we saw a couple of Muslim women from Michigan and Minnesota that have been elected to Congress. This scares me, Rachel, and I don't care who I tell that to.
Yeah, they're becoming more mainstream, even though they're really not mainstream. And people are treating some of these radical Islamists as if, you know, they're no big deal. But the reality is we see they get into power and then they start implementing Sharia law here in the U.S.
What about the complexion from yesterday of the race, or races, I should say? And even though Cruz won in a squeaker, and I think that Stacey Abrams is going to lose in Georgia, Ron DeSantis won in a squeaker, what does that tell you about what might happen in 2020?
It has me pretty nervous because we know, looking back at George H.W. Bush, excuse me, it's not always easy to do well after a president has been in power for, you know, the first 4 years. So I'm getting a little bit more nervous.
Let's talk about your nervousness, and I want to apply that to the Democrats winning the House. I had made a prediction on my program Monday that I didn't think they could pull it off. They did. We still don't know the enormity of the numbers. But what do you think about the House and the Democrats? Are they going to sit down finally and act like big boys and girls, or are they going to act like spoiled, rotten kids? Are they going to legislate or investigate?
Oh, I think they're going to go all out against Trump. They're going to try to impeach him. You've got people like Nancy Pelosi in charge. We know how crazy far left she is. I see this as a very bad time coming ahead of us.
Now, you mentioned Nancy's name, which I almost am a little brief on even trying to give her credit on anything on this program. Do you think, honestly, though, with the angst that's going on in the Democratic Party against her, that they will re-hand her the gavel? What are your thoughts?
I do think they will. I know how these leaders get entrenched in power in Congress. My friend Congressman David Schweikert tells me about the old guard and their power and how you don't want to go up against them. And that's why a lot of new members of Congress don't stick around very long, because it's hopeless. And so I think she's just too entrenched, and she shows no inclination of not taking over the Speaker's position again.
We have a caller with a question for you. Stand by. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning. Kind of a comment and a question. I have several cousins that live down in the San Antonio and different areas all over Texas, and I was really kind of bewildered at why Ted Cruz barely pulled it off, and so I asked my cousins, I said, what's the deal? Is it because Texas has been so California-ized, or what in the world happened there? And they said, no, not so much that as the DACA. Thousands and thousands of DACA people were able to vote And so I wonder if you have a comment on that.
Very, very good question. Thank you. Rachel, respond to the caller, please.
Yeah, that is a good question. We don't know the extent of how much these people have been able to vote, but it does, and that would be the reasonable explanation why Ted Cruz barely squeaked through.
You know, the thing I'm worried about, and I'll go back to what the caller just mentioned a minute ago, they may not have made the inroads now, today, or yesterday in our election, but I'll bet you, and I said this last hour, Rachel, that they, right now this morning, are forming think tanks and moving forward with all the money and the power they can possibly muster, and they're going to come at us full force in 2020, and I'm very concerned as to what the outcome is going to be.
Absolutely, and they're going to start holding hearings to make Trump look bad, and so by the time 2020 comes around, people are going to have a worse impression of Trump than they do now. It's just going to be like a circus in the House for the next 4 years.
I said something yesterday to a friend of mine on the phone, and I want you to respond to this. After listening to the network newscasts on various networks in regards to the election outcome, I said that it looks like, and it was verified this morning by Fox News, that those that spoke up against Brett Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court, they ended up losing. Those that supported Brett Kavanaugh, like Joe Manchin back in Virginia, they ended up winning. Do you think that now with the Democrats taking back over the House, they are going to stir up the coals on that fire and go after Brett Kavanaugh again?
That's a tough one, whether they're going to be that nutty or not, especially considering what you just said. I didn't think they would necessarily go that far. I think they're going to try to impeach Trump, but Kavanaugh, my gut instinct is no. That's more than they can chew.
Well, I certainly hope that's correct. Any final thoughts on Arizona's race between Sinema and McSally, or anything else in regards to our elections yesterday?
Just that, I think part of the reason in that case it was so close is because Republicans don't really like Martha McSally anyway. She's terribly moderate. She's worse than Jeff Flake or McCain. And so I have friends who told me they didn't even vote. They just stayed out of that race.
Now, that's interesting. I did not know that about McSally. So she basically had her own party or followers' animosity against her. I did not know that.
Well, her supporters played really dirty in the primary to defeat the honest conservative Kelly Ward, running these evil ads that were just, wrong. And so people remember that, and they're angry about it.
So this is terrible to say, but maybe the winner ought to go to the Democratic side, and then the people can be stuck with the mess that they've created.
That's what a lot of my friends were thinking. And by the way, it was big Republican establishment money that went into that primary race to defeat Kelly Ward.
Well, I want to tell you, I appreciate your coming back on the program this morning, and I know you're probably going to be writing a rather long story about our midterm elections in the stream. Rachel Alexander, thank you so much for coming on the program.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Bye-bye. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This character, Beto O'Rourke, and he has a long string of names, actually, that he writes on his check, I guess. But the outside influence money, and the caller that called in a little bit ago about that race with he and Ted Cruz, that is a very good question. But I'll tell you this much, from the people that I had a chance to talk to before the program this morning, every single one, whether it was a person I called in Washington, D.C., my people that I called back in New York that helped me a lot on this program, they all said, look out. Those people like Beto O'Rourke or Stacey Abrams or Andrew Gillum, they're not going to go away. They're not going to go away. They're going to be kind of locked up and secured in a closet someplace, and they're going to be fed with more of the money to come back or others like them in the future. And what Rabbi Sparrow said earlier this hour is really true. It's our fault if they do. It's our fault if we don't start speaking up. It's our fault that we let America slide over to a socialist nation. It's our fault if we don't try to run for various positions and thwart the evil that's going on in this country. If they win, it's our fault. Calls will be welcome right now. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I've never in my life been more proud of my audience than I was yesterday. The way you jumped on board and started calling with that survey, my goodness, it just knocked me back on my hip pockets. It was fantastic. Thank you. Don't forget the Bennett Boys Auction Service is going to have another great sale coming up this Saturday, November 10th at 11 o'clock, located over in the Jerome area at 246 North, 300 West. From the center of Jerome, go west 3 miles and then north 2.5 miles. Look for the signs. It's the Richard Golding Auction. And they're going to have tractors and dump trucks and a pickup and haying equipment. And they've got trailers. They got a C&B horse trailer. They've got livestock items. They've got all kinds of farm equipment, plows, and they've got, a corrugator. They got all kinds of things. I'm quickly going through some of the list, and it's going to start at 11 o'clock this Saturday, and that's over in Jerome at 246 North, 300 West, managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. There is no sale too big. There is no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Absolutely. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. Let's see. Again, there was a lady on my program this last week that really made an impression on me because she is sharp and she is inquisitive. And she is very dutiful to get the job done. She works hard. That was Linda Wright-Hartkin. I had never met Linda before, and I was very, very, very happy that she soundly defeated Deborah Silver, and she's going to be the representative for seat 24B. So congratulations again to Linda Wright-Hartkin. She was a kind of a politician and a lady that you felt like you could call her up, and if she didn't have the answer, she'd get it for you, and I really respect that. Thank you and congratulations. And, of course, a great big congratulatory slap on the back to Brad Little. I've been friends with Brad for a long time, and I think he's going to do an outstanding job as governor. He's just kind of, I don't mean this derogatory at all. He's kind of like an old pair of comfortable boots, and he's easy to talk to, easy to be around, easy to work with, and he is going to work hard, I think, for the state of Idaho. So, again, kudos to him, Brad Little, our new governor for the state of Idaho. Now I got some time for you. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. I would love to hear from you. I've got a story that Doug Martin sent me, and it's titled in the New York Times, "Spanking is Ineffective and Harmful to Children," a pediatrician's group says. This is all the more reason why we that have any kind of Christian values, Judeo-Christian values from our parents and our grandparents need to stand up and say, wait a minute, enough of this garbage. The front sentence on this story from the New York Times says, "Parents should not spank their children." The American Academy of Pediatrics said on Monday in its most strongly worded policy statement, warning against the harmful effects of corporal punishment in the home. And I'm just going to add a little caveat to that sentence. Baloney. I'm not talking about beating children. Never. I'm not talking about harming them. I'm not talking about excessively trying to spank them. No. But I'll guarantee you what, and I'll stand up against anybody on this, that to get their attention, a little bitty pat on the rear end does not hurt anyone. Didn't hurt me, didn't hurt you, and I'm sick and tired of all the spockish types in our country saying that, oh my goodness, we're destroying relationships, and certainly you can get the child's attention other than spanking. Well, sometimes you can't. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
It's called the Board of Education.
It's called idiocy.
Well, I mean, the spanking paddle is the Board of Education.
Yeah.
You not to do something wrong.
No, I agree with you, Doug. You know, this spockish activity or attitude is what I think is one of the main reasons we're in the problem we are today.
Exactly. And I know someone who doesn't want to spank their kids, and I says, why not? When they do something wrong, you pat them on the butt.
Yep.
Use a firm voice.
Yep.
And tell them don't do that again. Well, it teaches them to hit. I says, no, it doesn't teach them to hit. It didn't teach me to hit.
That's exactly right.
I need to respect my parents and do as I was asked.
See, therein lies the problem, and I wish I had more time. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But there is a complete detachment away from respecting parents. And don't give me the garbage, not you, Doug, but anybody else. Don't give me the garbage that the child learns to hate the parents. No, as a matter of fact, I feared, loved, and held in great respect my mother and father.
Yes, and you did not do anything against their wishes, knowing you would have an outcome of ouch.
Yeah. I don't have very much to do with some of the idle trash that comes out of some of these people's mouths that they don't understand about baby and child raising. I think our generation was one of the last generations that our parents did not spare the rod and they did not spoil the child. But look at what's the proof in the pudding today.
Exactly. That's exactly it. They need to read the Bible, what it states about raising your children.
Absolutely.
If you use the rod, you save the child. You use the rod, you lose the child.
Absolutely. I want to tell you thank you. I'm going to go over this entire story again and highlight it and talk about it a little bit tomorrow. But what it boils down to is I don't like the idea that there's an insinuation that pediatricians or any group can control the raising, rearing, and teaching of children in a private home. And I'm not advocating the beating or anything like that. You know that. But I am saying that the spanking is sometimes a necessary tool.
Exactly. And if they do it young enough, if you start when that kid starts crawling and they learn what the word no means, and you pat them on the butt with their diaper, you are not hurting that child.
Absolutely.
His feelings.
Right now, I've got to run to the break at the bottom of the hour. Doug, I'll talk to you about this tomorrow morning. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
God bless.
All right. Wheels, take it away. It's all yours.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to our last half hour. And, of course, we've got one of my favorite people coming on this half hour, and she is the National Director of the Remembrance Project, which honors and remembers Americans and legal residents who have been killed by illegal aliens. I say a good morning to a very nice lady. Maria Espinoza, how are you?
I'm doing well, Zeb. How about you?
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program, and I think what I'd like to start off with this morning is what were your thoughts about the complexion of yesterday's election outcome?
Well, I'm glad that we held on to the Senate. I'm disappointed, of course, about some of the congressmen that did not get reelected. But I tell you what, though, looking at a few of them, and I know there's two in Texas who lost. They were lukewarm. They were not supportive of the President Trump's agenda, and I think people are tired and had enough, and they do want their representatives to be strong But voter fraud also is a big issue, and that's very real.
Let me ask you this, Maria. In the state of Texas, excuse me, bear with me, I've got a little cold here this morning. In the state of Texas, I honestly was taken aback that Ted Cruz would have to go right down to the wire to beat Beto O'Rourke. What was the infatuation with this Democrat liberal socialist Beto O'Rourke?
Well, look, there were millions and millions of dollars, and I think your viewers probably know that this was the most money in history in a Senate race that was spent in this race. So they really hammer on Senator Cruz through the mainstream media. You get millions of dollars of advertisements saying that one person is terrible and the other one is great. They'll sell you anything. So the money is a big issue. I think that also points to the fact that we have to be working very hard on the ground in our communities and get the correct information out and point people to where they can find the information.
Maria, there seems to be, and I'm kind of scared of this, because it wasn't just against Ted Cruz with Beto O'Rourke. It was in Florida. It was in Georgia. It was in Arizona and other locations where socialism, devout, left, way crazy socialists are making inroads, and the American public is supporting them some reason why. I don't get it.
Right. Very scary. And also, I think that we have to be very smart in not funding our own demise steps. Take a look. There are some organizations that are funded with our own tax dollars that are supporting this type of socialist and fascist type of government, and people are buying it. So we have to be able to counter that with the truth, and that's going to take each one of us to be active and do more. Obviously, we need to do a lot more.
Maria, you're a very articulate lady, and I've enjoyed having you on this program numerous times. But you must also, like me, scratch your head sometimes and say, how dumb can the American people be? Are they not educated on the bad and the evil of socialism? Are they not educated as to what's happened in other countries, i.e. Venezuela and many more, and they want to bring that here to America? What is going on anyway?
Well, look, we can fund ads. Evidently, that's what we're going to have to do, and fund ads and feed it to the mainstream media there, telling them, educating them what is taking place in these socialist governments that have fallen. And look at Venezuela. People are eating out of trash cans, digging through, trying to find food just to feed their families.
Yeah.
It's chaos. That's what will happen here. It's shown in history that it will not work. Socialism does not work. And yet you have people who hate America, hate our Western culture, and want to destroy this great country. And if America goes down, Zeb, the entire world will be in chaos. You can already see what's going on in Europe.
Absolutely.
And look, we don't have to look very far, but across our border, you have the caravan back in April came through. Then we have this other second caravan, now a third caravan, and it's an all-out assault on America.
Let me ask you this.
Trump sending troops to the border is absolutely right, and it's all we have to look at.
Absolutely.
The chaos that you see across the border, some of that is absolutely here, because you can see the killings and horrific killings and vicious murders of Americans by people who shouldn't be here in the first place, of bringing their chaos to the United States. We don't need any more chaos. We have enough of our own.
Amen. Amen. Maria, I guess I'm not having my heart bleed out for these caravanners, because we've been told by various news agencies, these are women that are destitute and they're poor and they're bringing their babies to have a better life in America. Now, wait a minute. I'm going to stop right there, because I have looked at and I've kept a lot of the video footage of this caravan. And boy, you've really got to study hard to see any many women that are dragging along children. Mostly it is young males, 18 to 35, with a pugnacious attitude of carrying the nation flag they're supposedly fleeing from, and they're telling us with a point in the chest that we're coming in and you can't stop us. Oh, I hope we do.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you a story that is it's just horrific here. We were at the border with a mom's caravan this last weekend, and what our friends at Judicial Watch mentioned in their report, because they went to Guatemala and were there on the ground interviewing people, they're saying that most of the people who are coming here, like you just mentioned, are men. 98% are men, and 18 to 35 years old, early 40s, in gangs and tattooed with gang signs and also wearing the gang colors. So that's what's coming here. It's in that caravan. While we were along the border in McAllen last weekend, we were told that there were workers along a certain area along the border in the pipeline. They found a 6-year-old little girl who was almost dead.
Oh.
And after the doctors treated her, they found that she had 30 different DNA samples inside this little girl.
Oh,
this little girl was raped by 30 different illegal aliens or foreigners, and they dumped this little girl there. That is just disgusting. That is an animalistic, savage type of mentality that is intending to invade our country. That's what we're looking at, Zeb. That's disgusting, and it has to stop.
You're bringing tears to my eyes this morning. Tears and also hatred. Because when I think about children being abused like this and being thrown away like an old discarded magazine, it just absolutely brings fury to my heart and my mind. Maria, we have a caller with a question. I'm going to put them on. Go ahead, caller, quickly. You're on the air.
Yes, he said earlier that we need to buy some advertising and put it on TV. Well, President Trump just did that about that horde that's headed north, and they wouldn't run it. So what do? You can't even buy an ad on TV.
Maria, respond to that on the air. Thank you, caller, very much. But, there seems to be a lot of censorship against what is right and what should be prevalent that we see and hear, but the left has control.
Exactly, and I think that we spread the information, we keep trying, and we sue them. They love to go into courts against us for every little thing that, so we need to do the same thing. But word of mouth works great. We have to show our neighbors, family, friends, what is taking place. But I think it's going to be a battle for the courts, and thank God that Justice Kavanaugh now is sitting there as well. So, but it will take all of us. President Trump is doing everything that he can. We can't just count on President Trump and the courts, but it takes all of us.
Please tell me, as kind of a follow-up question about that little 6-year-old girl, is the prognosis that she will be all right? What have you heard?
We don't know yet. We're going to follow up on that, but we haven't heard. I've looked for news, but again, who's reporting this? No one. And especially since it was so close to the election, but I think that report should have been everywhere. But how many more horrific crimes, Zeb, do we need to wake us up? I mean, this has gone on for decades. People thought that after Kate Steinle was killed, and remember, there are families whose loved ones were murdered well before Miss Steinle was killed. And then we have Molly Tibbetts. Everyone was watching to see if they found this young lady. And when it was learned that she was attacked and murdered by an illegal alien, where is the heart of our legislators? It seems like they've abandoned the American people.
You know, I can't agree with you more, and I'm just furious in a white-knuckle situation up here. When I heard about that little girl this morning, it just makes me so sad as a father and a grandfather. Let me ask you this question. For the people that you know and the people that you've talked to and your own personal feelings, what about the caravan? What kind of force is it going to take to make them realize, them being the first caravan, realize that they're not going to cross? And if Trump weakens on this, I will say this, Maria, we're done. Once you play bullfighter and matador with these people and go Olay and let them pass, we're done as a country. What are your thoughts?
He has to stand strong. We have to call and let him know that we want him to stand strong and do everything that he can to protect this country, because we will be invaded. They will not stop. There are millions of people who will come into our country, take it over, and look, where are they going? They're going to have to go into the communities. We can't hold them. We don't have enough. You can't hold an invasion like that unless you do it by force. And if they come through, they don't care about our laws. They don't care about our obviously American people and our country. They're going to be taking over your homes and communities, just as they would take over and walked right through the Guatemalan border and the Mexican border.
You know, what you just said is so true, and it was chilling. A couple of weeks ago, there was a reporter down at the Caravan March, and he interviewed one of the caravanners, if you will, and this person looked at the reporter and said, after he was asked why you want to come to America, and he looked and he said in a kind of a pugnacious attitude, "We want what you have." And, right there, that chilled me. It chilled me to the point where, yeah, I work for mine, but they want it given to them.
They're incapable or refuse to emulate their America. They want what we have. They don't want to, and I tell you, they can't sustain this because they don't have the wherewithal and how we built this country and our Constitution shredded, gone. Life as we know it, Zeb, is just hanging by a little Chad. It's a hanging Chad, Zeb. We're that close. And I really want people to wake up and realize that, you might be home in your homes, in your backyard, cozy, but what you see on television about the caravan is very real. And if you have not been to the border, first of all, don't go, but take it from me and the reports that you see. That's very real, and that could be in your community in no time.
Absolutely. Maria, I always look forward to having you on the program because you're a straight shooter, and I mean that out of complete respect for you. And, of course, you are the National Director of the Remembrance Project. And I mean this. God bless you, and come back soon, because people like you, you help make the difference. Thank you so much.
And you're making a difference too, Zeb, so thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Can you imagine
Bye-bye.
Finding a 6-year-old girl that had been molested over 30 times? We're supposed to be human beings. We're supposed to care for our fellow man. And these people that did that to that little girl are nothing more than human trash. Human trash. And to think that they are going to come up to our border and literally poke us in the chest and say, we're coming through and you can't stop us. I guess in very simple terminology, I'm going to say this and mean it. Hell no, you're not coming in. Caller, good morning. You're on the air quickly. And they're backing up. I invite your call. This just sickens me. Just sickens me. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. What is going on over there, Wheels? Well, Hopefully we'll get that call to call back. Right now we're going to go to the weather forecast. Please call back. I'd like to hear your comment. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. And you can go to their website and find out all the great, delicious meats for you. ScarrowsMeats.com. I mean, the marinated pork ribs and, of course, the tri-tips and all the different kind of meat packages with the beef, the pork, and the chicken, and the buckboard bacon for breakfast, and the breakfast sausages and the bratwurst. The list goes on and on. It's absolutely great from Scarrows Meats. Caller, we'll be right with you. Don't hang up. I'm going to now have Gina with the weather. Quickly, I'll be right back.
The winds are finally dying down. The sun is going to shine, but we are going to be chilly. Here's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. Expecting sunny skies for the day. Winds are actually dying down out of the south, right around 8 miles an hour. We're expecting a high of 45. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, slightly breezy, low of 24. Tomorrow, sunny skies, expecting a high of 42 with a light breeze. By Thursday evening, clear skies and a low of 19. By Friday, sunny skies, high of 46. Partly cloudy for Friday night with a low of 27. By Saturday, mostly sunny and 47. And for Veterans Day Sunday, sunshine and 43. That's a look at your weather forecast on 7th Ranch.
Thank you very much. Brought to you by Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Caller, you've been very patient. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, Deb. I just think that we've got to reach into Mexico and stop those people before they get this far, because it is an invasion, and what are they expecting after they come across our border? You know, we are kind and generous people, but we're not going to be invaded. I sure hope we put our military down there somewhere.
Well, Chris, we are supposedly going to put the military down there, but you made a very interesting point in the early part of your dissertation when you said, what are they expecting after they cross into our country? That's a really good point, because I think, quite frankly, they're expecting nothing more than the American handout, whether it's food, shelter, transportation, clothing, education, whatever. Oh, gee, all the amenities that we have. They said earlier, many have said, we want what you have, but they darn sure don't want to work for it. I am going to be very bigoted in my remark. I do not want one of those people to cross the border.
Me either, and I think we need to stop them way before they even get to the border. And I don't know how we're going to do it, but our president needs to pull together some pretty brilliant people, and we've got to figure something out. Because they think that they cross the border into the United States and suddenly they're rich.
Yeah.
Or they're going to be fed or something like that.
Well,
you know what? Americans work for what they're getting.
Well, I know I have and you have. I just think that this attitude of being so pugnacious and saying we're coming in and you can't stop us. I'd like to see about we'll just make it a smaller number, maybe 1,000 Americans walk up to a border of any other country, anywhere in the world, be it Europe, over in the Middle East, whatever. Try it in Iran and tell them that you're coming in and you can't stop us. See what happens and see if you ever get back over to the U.S. of A. ever again.
Yeah, and they're not going to feed you either.
That's right. Chris, God bless.
So stay where you're at and make your own country better.
I appreciate it. Chris, thank you. God bless. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Mm-hmm. You know, I just, this attitude of we're coming in and you can't stop us. And then hearing that about a little 6-year-old girl. In some respects, I wish that Maria wouldn't have mentioned it, because it just breaks my heart to think that the lawlessness and the animalistic attitude of some of them, I'm not going to say all, but some of them, and they'll probably never be found. They'll never be brought to justice. It's so sad. And destroying a little 6-year-old girl's life. How pathetic. And we want them here in America? No, I don't. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And oh boy, they say be ready for anything on the roads, whether it's the snow, the mud, the ice, the sleet, whatever it might be. You better be prepared. They've got all the tires, all the different tread designs, all the sizes for you and your vehicles. I urge you to be ready for anything and stop in and see them today. Along with that, at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. Now, you heard that we're going to be down in the low 20s, and it's going to start getting colder, too. Make sure you've got a battery that's going to get the job done, and they've got the best of batteries at any one of the 7 locations. With Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Nobody does it better. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Tomorrow on the program, it's Thursday, and that means a whole bunch of segments like Rita Ramsey Chamber Report, and we're going to have Cassia Regional Hospital on. We're going to have Cassia County School Days. We've got Dr. Michael Bussler coming back on to talk about the economy and the stock market and everything. Busy day. And one thing I really, again, want to thank all of you for your calls and everything. We appreciate it. Had some questions about getting my blog. We had some more emails come in. All you have to do is go to zebbell.com and put the information on there, and we'll make sure that you get our weekly blog about all the pertinent topics that are going on in the world today. That is Cow Pies and Coffee Cups. Just go to the blog, zebbell.com. Okay? And we urge you to tune in tomorrow morning at 8:06. We'll ride the horse for 3 hours and talk about a lot of subjects. One of the things I'm going to be talking about in the first hour tomorrow, and I'm going to step on some toes locally, for some reason, some people have taken it upon themselves to take the word nationalist and turn it into a hate-filled and divisive word, when it is not. And I'm going to really go after some of these people tomorrow morning in the first hour. Don't forget, we're here at 8:06, and we want to thank Wheels over at the main studios, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. Until tomorrow morning, God bless, have a great day.